Hi, I'm Mark Fillon, and I'm one of the many people currently working on Terroir. In this video, we'd like to take you through a very quick playthrough, just to give you a broad idea of what the game is all about, what some of its mechanics are, and to showcase some of the early stage interface elements and visuals of the game. There's still quite a way to go, but we've arrived at a far enough point to be able to show you how we envision the game as a whole. So when you start a game in Terroir, you have a single block of land. The first thing you want to do is pick your varietal of grape to plant. In this alpha, we have a choice between Chardonnay and Cabernet Sauvignon, but there will be quite a lot more in the finished version. Once you've planted the varietal, it then becomes subject to the elements. Terroir is as much a game about making the right choices and a bit of luck as it is in the real world. The game has 4 seasons, and a set period every year in which you, the player, can plant and harvest. Planting happens just after winter, and harvesting begins at around fall. As the months pass by, you'll start to notice the weather change. Sometimes you'll have clear skies, other times you'll have rain. Too much of either is not a good thing and can damage your crops. Varietals react differently to different amounts of exposure to rain and sun. As a vineyard manager, there isn't very much you can do while you wait for the vines to bear fruit. In the final version, we will be introducing mitigation techniques to compensate for drought or too much rain. But in general, Terroir is a game where the weather has a huge influence on the outcome of your labor. The right-hand panel shows the characteristics of your wine, from grape form to finished product. You'll notice that depending on the weather, these characteristics change. Each type of wine has an ideal set of characteristics, and it is the player's task to get as close to them as possible. This takes practice and patience, but mastering each wine type will be well rewarded. Once the grapes are ready to be harvested, a pop-up message will appear. Once harvesting is done, the player can proceed to the first of the 5 player-controlled stages of the game. Each stage is presented in the form of a pop-up menu. The menu will show the characteristics on the right, and action buttons. Maceration is a stage where we let the grapes steep in their own juices. Whenever a player punches down during the maceration stage, the characteristics change. You can choose to punch down as much as you want, but this consumes in-game time. Once you're satisfied with the results, you can move on to the next stage, fermentation. Fermentation vastly affects a wine's characteristics, including those that maceration didn't. Leaving a wine to ferment is an action you can choose to take, but of course, that also consumes in-game time. Once you're happy with your results, you can move on to bottling. In Terroir, you can choose the shape of your bottle and the label design. You can also name your wine whatever you want. In this alpha, we have only the bare minimum of choices, but in the final version, we'll have quite a bit more. Okay, so you've got your wine, it's all bottled up and ready to go. But first, you're going to need to value your wine, meaning you're gonna need to price it correctly. To do that, you need the help of wine critics. Once a wine is ready, you must organize a wine tasting. You choose the wine critics you want to invite from a list. You'll notice critics have star ratings. These indicate how strict or forgiving the critics are to the quality of your wine, and also influence the final recommended price for your wine. The more prestigious the critic, the more a good rating from her or him will push up the price of your wine. Once you get your final rating, which averages all the ratings of all the critics invited to the wine tasting, you get your recommended price. This is the price you can sell your wine at the market. Selling wine in the market is the final player-controlled stage of Terroir. Here, you choose from a list of distributors to whom you can sell your wine. How much you can sell to each distributor depends on your relationship with them. The more you sell to a particular distributor, the more that relationship goes up. Wines you don't sell end up in your vineyard cellar. The cellar is an interesting feature. The longer you store wine in the cellar, the more its characteristics improve. However, this takes quite a lot of time, and you're going to have to balance out how long you keep them in there. Stored wines can be sold at any time of your choosing. So that completes 1 year of in-game time in Terroir. It's time to start planting again, and hopefully, you learn a thing or two as the years progress, until eventually you start to realize which characteristics are key to each type of wine. Some may need to have more body and tannins, others may need more sweetness or fruitiness. Unraveling all of these secrets is part of the challenge. At this stage, we're still working on several features that will improve the playability of the game, including things like random events, pests and vermin, status effects on your vines and wines, more soil types, and a few other things. We're also working on better 3D models and music. But the core mechanics are in place, and we're working hard to strike good balances that will keep the game challenging and fulfilling. That's it from us. We hope you find Terroir an interesting game, and we're keeping our fingers crossed that it's a game you'll want to play and keep on your radar.